She doesn't ask for money. She doesn't beg for protection. She takes 3 steps inside, and in a voice barely louder than a whisper, she says something that stops every conversation cold. My husband says we must stay quiet. The room goes silent. One of the bikers, a man with gray in his beard and a scar across his knuckles, slowly sets down his beer. She reaches for her sleeve, pulls it back. The bruises are deep, purple, old and new layered like a timeline of pain. Another biker stands up without saying a word. His chair scrapes against the floor. No one moves. No one speaks. And in that moment, something shifts. Because these men know what silence protects. And they know what it costs. This is Jack Mercer. Most people call him Stone. He's 58, president of the Iron Ghosts Motorcycle Club, and he spent the better part of his life learning when to walk away. The club has rules. Simple ones. Don't start trouble. Don't finish it unless you have to. And never, ever get involved in someone else's family business. That last one isn't written down anywhere. It doesn't need to be. It's the kind of lesson you learn after watching good men destroy their lives trying to save people who didn't ask to be saved. But here's the thing about rules. They hold up fine until someone walks into your bar looking like they've been carrying the weight of the world on their back for 40 years. Stone looks at the woman standing in his doorway and sees his own mother, sees his sister, sees every person who was taught that suffering in silence was somehow noble. He doesn't say anything yet. Neither does Hawk, the oldest member of the club. 72, Vietnam vet, hands that still shake when he hears fireworks. Hawk fought in a war most people want to forget, came home to a country that didn't want to remember, and found family in a group of men society had already written off. He leans back in his chair and watches the woman with the kind of stillness that only comes from seeing too much. Sitting near the pool table is Ridge. Younger than the rest, maybe 35, married with 2 kids who think their dad is the coolest person alive. Ridge is the guy who coaches Little League on Saturdays and shows up to every school play. He's also the guy who once put a man in the hospital for hitting a woman outside a gas station. He didn't talk about it afterward. Didn't need to. And then there's Document 51, former combat medic, the one they call when things go sideways. He's patched up more broken bones and knife wounds than he cares to remember, and he's learned to read people the way most folks read street signs. Right now, he's reading this woman, and he doesn't like what he sees. Stone finally speaks. His voice is calm, measured, the kind of voice that makes people listen without him having to raise it. "Ma'am, why don't you sit down?" She hesitates, looks back toward the door like she's already regretting coming here. But she doesn't leave. She sits. Ridge brings her a glass of water without being asked. She takes it with both hands, and they're shaking so badly the water ripples. "My name is Evelyn," she says quietly. "Evelyn Brooks." Stone nods. "Okay, Evelyn. What brings you here?" She stares at the table. 30 seconds pass. Maybe more. When she finally speaks again, her voice cracks. "I didn't come for me." The room waits. "I came for my daughter." And just like that, the air gets heavier. Hawk shifts in his chair. Doc leans forward. Ridge's jaw tightens. Stone doesn't move. Doesn't blink. "Go on," he says. Evelyn takes a shaky breath. She's 39. Lives with us. She's been living with us her whole life. And my husband. She stops. Closes her eyes. Opens them again. He's been hurting her. For years. And I haven't been able to stop it. The silence that follows isn't just quiet. It's the kind of silence that presses down on your chest. The kind that makes you realize you're hearing something you can't unhear. Stone's expression doesn't change, but his hands curl into fists on the table. Hawk looks away. Ridge stands up, walks to the window, and stares out at the parking lot like he's trying to keep himself from putting his fist through the glass. Doc is the first one to speak. "How long?" Evelyn's voice is barely a whisper. 42 years. Before we continue this story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you, and don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Because what happens next isn't just about one family. It's about what happens when good people decide they're done being quiet. Evelyn starts talking, slowly at first, then faster, like a dam breaking. Her husband's name is Gerald, 68 years old, worked at the same factory for 30 years. Everyone in town knows him. Respected, polite, the kind of man who waves at neighbors and volunteers at church fundraisers. At home, he's someone else. The first time he hit their daughter, she was 7. Evelyn tried to leave. He found her at a motel 2 towns over. Brought her back. Told her if she ever tried again, he'd make sure she never saw her daughter again. So she stayed. And she stayed quiet. Their daughter never married. Never moved out. Gerald made sure of that. Told her she was too slow. Too stupid. That no one else would ever want her. Evelyn tried calling the police once. 15 years ago, Gerald found out. Broke her wrist. Told the ER she fell down the stairs. They believed him. Why wouldn't they? He's Gerald Brooks, pillar of the community. Evelyn looks up at Stone with eyes that have seen too much and hoped for too little. I know you don't know me, she says. And I know you don't owe me anything. But I don't know where else to go. The system won't help us. The church won't help us. No one believes me because he's... She trails off. Stone finishes the sentence for her. Because he's good at pretending. She nods. Doc asks the question everyone's thinking. Why now? Evelyn's hands tighten around the glass of water. Because last night, he put her in the hospital. The room goes cold. She has 3 broken ribs. Evelyn continues. A concussion. Bruises all over her arms and back. The doctor asked her what happened. She told him she fell. Because that's what she's been taught to say. That's what we've both been taught to say. Her voice breaks completely now. Tears stream down her face, but she doesn't wipe them away. She just keeps talking. She's still in the hospital. And when she gets out, she's going to come home. And he's going to do it again. And one of these times, she can't finish. She doesn't have to. Hawk speaks for the first time. His voice is rough, scratched from years of smoking and yelling over engine noise. Does he know you're here? Evelyn shakes her head. He thinks I'm at the grocery store. Ridge turns from the window. When's he expect you back? An hour. Stone looks at Hawk. Then at Document. Then at Ridge. Doesn't say a word. Doesn't need to. Ridge is already heading for the door. I'll get the trucks. Here's the thing about brotherhood. Real brotherhood. It's not about patches on a jacket or bikes in a parking lot. It's about the moment when someone asks for help and you don't think about the cost. You just move. Stone has seen a lot in his life. He's been shot at, stabbed, arrested more times than he can count. He's lost brothers to accidents, overdoses, and bad decisions. But he's never walked away from someone who needed help. Not once. And he's not about to start now. Evelyn looks at him with something close to hope. Something she hasn't felt in decades. What are you going to do? Stone stands up, looks down at her with an expression that's equal parts calm and dangerous. We're going to make sure he never touches either of you again. But, no buts, ma'am. You came here because you knew we'd listen. And we did. Now we're going to do what needs to be done. Hawk pulls out his phone. Makes a call. Doesn't say much. Just a name and an address. Hangs up. Safe house is ready, he says. Doc grabs his medical bag from behind the bar. Always keeps one there. Just in case. Ridge comes back inside. Trucks are running. Stone looks at Evelyn one more time. We're going to get your daughter. We're going to take her somewhere safe. And then we're going to have a conversation with Gerald. Evelyn's eyes widen. You can't. If you hurt him, you'll go to jail. I can't ask you to. Stone cuts her off gently. You didn't ask. We're offering. And don't worry about us. We've been handling men like your husband our whole lives. 20 minutes later, 3 pickup trucks pull up outside a small house on the edge of town. Neat lawn. American flag on the porch. Flower boxes in the windows. It looks like every other house on the block. It looks safe. Evelyn unlocks the front door with a key that feels heavier than it should. Inside, the house smells like vanilla candles and something underneath that's harder to name. Fear, maybe. The kind that soaks into the walls. Evelyn's daughter is sitting on the couch. Her name is Annie. 39, but she looks older. Worn down. She's holding an ice pack to her side. When she sees her mother walk in with 4 large men in leather jackets, her face goes pale. "Mom, what did you do?" Evelyn kneels down in front of her, takes her hands. "Something I should have done a long time ago." Annie starts crying. Not loud, just quiet tears that slide down her cheeks like they've been waiting years to fall. "He's going to be so angry. He's not going to touch you again," Stone says from the doorway. His voice is firm, but not unkind. "Ever." Annie looks at him, then at the others. "Who are you?" "We're people who don't walk away," Hawk says simply. Doc steps forward. "Can I take a look at your ribs?" Annie hesitates, then nods. Doc works quickly, professionally, checks her breathing, looks at the bruises. His face doesn't change, but his jaw tightens. "Hospital did a good job with the wrap," he says. "But you need rest. Real rest. Somewhere he can't get to you." "I don't have anywhere to go." "You do now," Ridge says. They pack a bag for Annie. Not much. Some clothes. A few photos. A stuffed animal she's had since she was a kid. Evelyn watches from the doorway, tears streaming down her face. Not sad tears. Something else. Relief, maybe. Or the beginning of it. Stone checks his watch. "We've got 30 minutes before he gets home." "Where are we going?" Annie asks. "Somewhere safe," Hawk says. "Somewhere he'll never find you." They load both women into one of the trucks. Doc stays with them. Stone, Hawk, and Ridge stay behind. Annie looks back at the house as they pull away. A house that was supposed to be a home. A house that became a prison. She doesn't say anything, but for the first time in years, she breathes a little easier. Back inside, the 3 men wait. Stone sits in Gerald's favorite chair. Hawk leans against the wall near the door. Ridge stands by the window, watching the street. "You sure about this?" Ridge asks. Stone doesn't hesitate. "Yeah. Could get messy. Won't be the first time." Hawk chuckles darkly. "Won't be the last." They sit in silence, waiting. 25 minutes later, a car pulls into the driveway. Gerald Brooks steps out. Gray hair, glasses, cardigan sweater. He looks like someone's kindly grandfather. He walks up to the front door, unlocks it, steps inside, and freezes. 3 men he's never seen before are sitting in his living room. Stone speaks first. His voice is calm, almost pleasant. "Hello, Gerald. We need to have a talk." Gerald's face goes from confused to angry in about 2 seconds. "Who the hell are you?" "Where's my wife?" "Safe," Stone says. "Along with your daughter." Gerald's eyes narrow. "You've got no right to be in my house. You've got no right to put your hands on women," Hawk says flatly. Gerald's jaw tightens. He tries to bluster. "I don't know what lies they told you, but—" Stone stands up. Doesn't raise his voice. Doesn't need to. "Save it. We've already heard the truth. And we've seen the bruises." For a moment, Gerald looks like he's going to argue. Then something shifts. Maybe it's the way Stone is looking at him. Maybe it's the way Hawk hasn't moved from the door. Maybe it's the way Ridge is standing by the window with his arms crossed and an expression that says he's seen men like Gerald before and knows exactly what they are. Gerald changes tactics. Tries to sound reasonable. "Look, I don't know what my wife told you, but she exaggerates. She's not well. Mentally, I mean. And my daughter, she's always been clumsy. Falls a lot. It's not." "Stop talking," Stone says quietly. And Gerald does. Because there's something in Stone's voice that makes it very clear this isn't a negotiation. "Here's what's going to happen," Stone continues. "You're going to leave. Tonight. You're going to pack a bag, get in your car, and you're going to drive away from this town. And you're never coming back." Gerald laughs. Actually laughs. "You can't be serious. This is my house. My family. You can't just—" Hawk speaks up. "We're not asking." Gerald looks at him, then at Ridge, then back at Stone. And maybe for the first time in his life, Gerald Brooks realizes he's not in control. "If I leave, I'll come back," Gerald says. "I'll call the police. I'll tell them you broke into my house. Threaten me." Stone nods slowly. "You could do that. But here's the thing, Gerald. We've already been to the hospital. Talked to the doctor who treated your daughter last night. Nice guy. Very concerned about the pattern of injuries he's been seeing over the years. Funny thing about doctors. They're mandatory reporters. He's already filed a report with the state. Gerald's face goes pale. We also talked to a few of your neighbors, Ridge adds. The ones who've heard the yelling over the years. The ones who saw your wife with a broken wrist. The ones who always thought something was off but didn't want to get involved. They're willing to get involved now. Hawk pulls out his phone. Shows Gerald a photo. It's a document. Police report from 15 years ago when Evelyn tried to call for help. Another document. Hospital records. Years of them. We've got copies of everything, Hawk says. And if you don't leave, we're going to make sure every person in this town knows exactly who you are. Gerald's hands start shaking. Not from fear. From rage. You have no idea who you're messing with. Stone takes a step closer. Close enough that Gerald has to look up to meet his eyes. Actually, we do. You're a coward who spent 40 years beating on people who couldn't fight back. And now you're standing in front of people who can. The room goes very, very quiet. Gerald looks around. Looks for an escape. Looks for leverage. Finds nothing. What if I refuse? Stone's expression doesn't change. Then we'll make sure you don't have a choice. Gerald tries one more time. I could have you arrested. All of you. Breaking and entering. Threatening me in my own home. You could, Stone agrees. But you won't. Because the second you do, every piece of evidence we have goes public. Every neighbor we talk to gets a visit from a social worker. Every hospital record gets pulled. And your life, the nice little life you built where everyone thinks you're a good man, that disappears. Forever. Gerald's breathing gets faster. Shallower. He's cornered, and he knows it. Where am I supposed to go? Anywhere but here, Hawk says. Ridge walks over to the window. Looks out at the street. You've got 10 minutes to pack. After that, we're not responsible for what happens. Gerald looks at Stone one more time. Tries to find something to say. Some threat. Some argument. But there's nothing. Because for the first time in decades, he's not the one with the power. He turns. Walks upstairs. They hear him moving around. Drawers opening. Closet doors slamming. 8 minutes later, he comes back down with a duffel bag. Stone is waiting by the door. One more thing, Stone says. If we ever hear that you've contacted Evelyn or Annie, if we hear that you've come within 100 miles of this town, if we even hear your name mentioned in a way we don't like. He doesn't finish the sentence. He doesn't have to. Gerald walks out the door, gets in his car, and drives away. Ridge watches until the taillights disappear. Think he'll come back. Hawk shakes his head. No. Men like him only fight when they think they'll win. Stone looks around the house one more time. At the pictures on the walls. The furniture. The life that looked normal from the outside. Let's go, he says. The safe house is 20 miles outside of town. It's an old farmhouse that the club bought years ago for situations exactly like this. Women running from bad men. Kids with nowhere to go. People the system forgot. It's not fancy, but it's safe. And sometimes that's enough. When Stone, Hawk, and Ridge arrive, they find Evelyn and Annie sitting in the kitchen. Doc is making coffee. Annie looks up when they walk in. Is he gone? Stone nods. He's gone. For good. For good. Annie closes her eyes. Lets out a breath she's been holding for what feels like her entire life. Evelyn stands up, walks over to Stone, and without saying a word, she hugs him. Stone stiffens. He's not used to this. Not used to gratitude that comes without expectation. But after a moment, he hugs her back. Thank you, Evelyn whispers. I don't know how to thank you. You don't have to, Stone says quietly. Ridge sits down next to Annie. How you feeling? Scared, she admits. But different scared. Like maybe things might actually be okay. They will be, Ridge says. And he means it. Over the next few days, the bikers make sure Evelyn and Annie have everything they need. Food, clothes, a lawyer who specializes in protective orders, a social worker who actually listens. Hawk calls in a favor with a friend who runs a women's shelter 2 states over. Gets them a spot. Long-term. Safe. Doc checks on Annie's ribs every day. Makes sure she's healing. Talks to her about trauma. About therapy. About the long road ahead. She listens. And slowly, very slowly, she starts to believe that maybe the worst is behind her. 2 weeks later, Evelyn and Annie leave for the shelter. The bikers help them pack, drive them to the bus station, make sure they get on safe. Before they leave, Evelyn turns to Stone one more time. Why did you help us? You didn't know us. You didn't know us anything. Stone thinks about that for a moment. Because someone helped me once, he says. Long time ago, when I didn't think anyone would. And they told me that if I ever got the chance, I should do the same for someone else. Evelyn smiles. A real smile. The first one Stone's seen from her. Thank you, she says again. For everything. Take care of each other, Stone says. And then they're gone. The bikers stand in the parking lot, watching the bus pull away. Ridge lights a cigarette. Think they'll be all right. Yeah, Hawk says. I think they will. Stone doesn't say anything. Just watches until the bus disappears around the corner. Then he turns. Walks back to his bike. Ridge and Hawk follow. They ride in silence for a